Hello again, humans. It is I, Jim the Ape. And what you see on my neck is a collar, not a cape. This time I'm combining two things that I've done: feminist slam poetry and two videos in one.
From Montclair, New Jersey. Please give it up for Kendra Erdang.
Erdang, already a hilarious name. And from New Jersey as well. My pet human's the same. Yes, I know what I'm doing now is a delay. So let's get to the painful shit you have to say.
Because it's so much simpler to tell ourselves rape is only a man grabbing you from behind in a back alleyway.
Yes, many people subscribe to this notion that it's only a man who does this evil motion, and you'll go on to show that that's not what you meant. But what happens when a man doesn't give a woman consent?
That it's not the boy next door and never the man who says that he loves you.
Yes, some relationships are filled with abuse, and the honeymoon phase is for sure no excuse. But what bothers me about your anti-rape plan is that you always think that the perpetrator's a man.
So rape remains only male, about 5'10" or taller, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, because we all know that little Johnny and Tommy and Ronnie would never do something like that.
Rape claims are denied by those who love the accused. That denial doesn't mean that no one was abused, but that's a matter to be investigated objectively by the fuzz, because a rape claim also doesn't mean that someone was.
So he never put his face to his penis.
Whoa, only narcissists and gay men like that. Get your head out from where you're supposed to have sat.
And I wish I could say that this is a female problem, that rape wouldn't happen if only we didn't wear those short skirts.
Police ask that question to investigate the crime, to spot you on surveillance and draw the timeline. But feminists persist in declaring that it's blame, when literally no one else has ever said the same.
But as we try and convince ourselves that it really wasn't our fault, I want to give a big fuck you to all the men who make my anger possible.
You get cheered for your anger, and you profit from it. If anything, you should thank those men for that shit. But that would break the fourth wall of your little charade. So keep raging at the machine with your bulls on parade.
And yes, I am blaming you. I blame all the men who think they are better.
The title of your video addresses male non-feminists. That attribute alone does not make them supremacists. But I guess that's what it looks like from inside your victim cult. Anyone who won't conform is a direct and personal insult.
Who think women don't know what hate is even when it's running down our thighs.
I'm pretty sure that's piss. Paper towels help with that. And feminists know hate and lies, for that is all that they have spat. I really hate that conflation. You're sinning in my non-religion. Some feminists are men, that's true, but some MRAs are women.
I blame all the men who allowed their friends to yell bitch and hoe while telling themselves that they're not like them.
So let me get this straight. You don't blame the ones who shout, but those who say nothing to you. You blame them and chew them out. Other people are sometimes assholes, and no one can prevent it. Perhaps have you heard of a little thing called the fucking First Amendment?
I blame you for the degradation, humiliation of my sisters.
I'm tempted to go off on you. Not all ladies are your kin, but I know your kind of worldview doesn't see beyond the skin.
I blame you for every time you don't speak up, because God knows that the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who did nothing.
I know it's just a metaphor, but hell's not a real place. God's not real either, so he knows nothing. Not a trace. Yes, inaction can be harmful. How much so can't be told. But whatever. I like warm weather. What I hate is the cold.
Because I don't wish the rape of your loved ones to be the final action that wakes you up and makes you a man.
I guess I have to thank you for not wishing tragedy, but the way you bring it up seems morally unsteady, and I think ideological guilt tripping may be your plan. But fuck you, cunt! You don't get to decide what makes a man.
Please accept this now and know that your body is a lethal weapon if used incorrectly.
As horrible as rape is, it is not typically fatal. And what of women's bodies? Killing infants in postnatal. Anyone can murder a child, but mothers do it more. So does that mean we live in a baby-killing culture war?
So it hurts to say that 2 girls in this nation will be raped by the time this poem is over.
I'm pretty sure the stat you're referencing has been debunked, especially on college campuses where you're more likely to be punked. Even so, only 2 in as many minutes in a country this size? That could be worse. Just think how many died in that amount of time.
My brothers.
Though we're genetically related, that will not help you here. Appealing to that won't make me give you a sympathetic ear.
Listen up.
And believe? Don't think so. Not without some evidence. Skepticism is important in life, not just in science.
Refuse to fall victim to this masculine ambush you are bred into accepting.
I didn't quite get that. Perhaps you slurred it a bit. Ah, fuck it. Who cares? It's all the same shit.
And acknowledge that this problem is your problem too.
I hear a lot about problems, but not much about solutions. All the while, feminism is running our academic institutions.
As long as your daughters and sisters and lovers are scared to walk alone at night.
Right, so men are only victims through the fear of those they love, of some horrible tragedy waiting to befall them from above. Never mind the fact that fear is how you subjectively react, and the little detail that men are more likely to be attacked.
That your strength is not meant for hurting. That we can see that you are a man, you do not need to beat us into believing you.
That contradicts what you said before about what makes a man, but at least the core of your message is something I can understand. Domestic violence and rape are horrible. On that, I agree with you. My biggest problem is that you frame it like they're both a gendered issue.
I want to know where you stand in this world with lines drawn all over it.
I am an egalitarian ape. I believe in equal rights. Feminists claim the same, but prefer their victim fights. The things you mention are horrible crimes, committed in every nation. I just wish more people would see the male side of the equation.
And I am almost sorry for every man who ever felt that feminism isn't important.
Luckily for me, I do not require your sympathy, nor do I need the politics of ideological identity. If only feminist was just another word for egalitarian, then reason wouldn't be dying out like a cancerous octogenarian.
Because if this is what feminism is, then what the fuck does that make you? If this is feminism, then what are you?
I'm a talking gorilla, bitch. Please explore my channel if you really want to know where I stand on the political panel. And you haven't actually demonstrated what feminism really is, except by whining about problems that you have no intention to fix. But that's the end of that video. Let's move on to the next. How much do you want to bet this one also has to do with sex?
Pocket-sized feminism. The only other girl at the party is ranting about feminism. The audience a sea of rape jokes and snapbacks and styrofoam cups.
Sounds like a party to me, though perhaps a sausage fest. And maybe the ranting girl has failed the sense of humor test. Unless she's ranting about feminism's flaws, in which case I agree. And does this poet sound angrier than the last, or is it just me?
And me. They gawk at her mouth like it is a drain clogged with too many opinions.
Well, if you're there, scratch what I said about it sounding fun. And opinions are like asses. Everybody has one. But those are not the problem. It's the way that they're expressed. Most people roll their eyes when you complain about being oppressed.
I shoot her an empathetic glance and say nothing.
Cue obvious joke wishing you did the same to the audience here. Less than 30 seconds into your rant and I already need a beer.
This house is for wallpaper women. What good is wallpaper that speaks?
I know it's just a metaphor again, but it's a weird one, so I'll dissect it for a moment to make this thing more fun. Sentient talking wallpaper is like an idea by a creep. How else would you describe something that whispers while you sleep?
I want to stand up, but if I do, whose coffee table silence will these boys rest their feet on? These boys. I want to stand up, but if I do, what if someone takes my spot?
It's common at a party to lose a seat once you've left. Coffee table or not, this practice is not theft. But I'd like to thank you for the chance that you just gave to tell you that boy was once synonymous with slave.
I want to stand up, but if I do, what if everyone notices I've been sitting this whole time?
I don't think anyone cares how you position your body. Still an analogy, I know, but one that's quite shoddy. You stand up, you sit down, you get up and walk. And of course, your favorite thing to do, which is talk.
I'm ashamed of keeping my feminism in my pocket until it is convenient not to, like at poetry slams or women's studies classes.
Just like the religious, nothing else exists. You must preach and convert and always persist. Now, I don't know where you stand on the carpenter Jesus, but have you heard of the ape version, our holy Lord Rhesus?
There are days I want people to like me more than I want to change the world.
That's odd, considering the ideology of which you're a part, that wants to ban everything that offends them from art, and wants to turn the world into an infantilized safe space, but doesn't like anyone who doesn't know their place.
Once, I forgave a predator because I was afraid to start drama in our friend group. 2 weeks later, he assaulted someone else. I'm still carrying the guilt in my purse.
I wouldn't think purses were a feminist-approved tote, but never mind, I must respond to that vague anecdote. I won't dismiss it all outright, and I'll watch what I say next. I just would like to know the facts and get the full context.
There are days I forget we had to invent nail polish to change color in drugged drinks.
The good Doc Randomer Cam did a great bit about this. I'll find and link it in the description box so you can't miss. You're about to list more innovations for your safety and convenience. I guess teach killers not to kill and they'll all start showing lenience.
And apps to virtually walk us home in lipstick-shaped mace and underwear designed to prevent rape. Once, a man behind me on an escalator shoved his hand up my skirt from behind and no one around me said anything, so I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make a scene.
Right. Do you always wait for other people to react for you? Because he's guilty of sexual assault if what you've just said is true. You could have called the police and had the man arrested, and surveillance camera footage would prove it if your claims were tested.
Once, an adult man made a necklace out of his hands for me, and I still wake up in hot sweats, haunted with images of the herd of girls he assaulted after I didn't report.
Once again, a violent criminal you claim to have let go. If these stories aren't bullshit, it's your fault too, you know. And I don't mean to shame you. Victims often are reluctant, but you're speaking up about it now, so I just wish you'd been consistent.
All younger than me. How am I to forgive myself for doing nothing in the mouth of trauma?
Self-forgiveness is a tough journey. You'll get through it and you'll live. But please encourage others to speak out in a way that's more productive.
Is silence not an act of violence too?
Words like violence break the silence. Come crashing into my little world. Painful to me, pierce right through me. Don't you understand, oh my little girl? In seriousness, silence cannot be harmful on its own. It just makes it a bit easier for the ones who throw stones.
Once, I told a boy I was powerful and he told me to mind my own business.
That line of dialogue doesn't make any sense. It never happened, so drop the pretense. Even if it did, there's a real simple fix. Just tell him, in your own words, to eat a bag of dicks.
Once, a boy accused me of practicing misandry. You think you can take over the world? And I said, no, I just want to see it.
Another succession of non sequitur replies. It's hurting my brain and even burning my eyes. But vacation all you like. Make 100 great escapes. Your world will be conquered one day by huge talking apes.
I just need to know it is there for someone. Once, my dad informed me sexism is dead and reminded me to always carry pepper spray in the same breath.
This poem should be called A Thing Happened to Me Once. And don't appropriate Andy Warski's stutter, you cunts. Yeah, sexism isn't dead. It also goes in both directions. But you only call it sexism when it involves a man's erection.
We accept this state of constant fear is just another component of being a girl.
No, that would be the feminist fear propaganda, making women scared of men to suit their agenda, when the facts do not support it. The statistics aren't so bad. What's worse are mutilated babies who grow up without a dad.
We text each other when we get home safe, and it does not occur to us that not all of our guy friends have to do the same.
Neither do you know. Concern is still optional, but checking on your friend's well-being is considered optimal. And who says that this practice is only done by sisters and not brothers? Plenty of guys still have to send similar texts to their worried mothers.
You could literally saw a woman in half, and it would still be called a magic trick, wouldn't it?
You must not know how magic works, or at least linguistic fusion. No one's literally cut in half. Relax, it's just an illusion. Two women in two boxes. Squished together looks like one. It's been in TV shows and movies. Thank God you're almost done.
That's why you invited us here, isn't it? Because there is no show without a beautiful assistant?
Hold on a minute. Now stop being so loud, and imagine for a moment it's your job to please a crowd. Do you hire a land whale who looks like Trigglypuff, or do you hire someone good-looking who has the right stuff?
We are surrounded by boys who hang up our naked posters and fantasize about choking us.
Okay, so choking is a common part of some adult entertainment. But most sane men would only dare if the woman was also into it. But if you dare to tell me that women have no such thing as porn, ask yourself why 50 Shades, Twilight, and Magic Mike were born.
And watch movies that we get murdered in.
Getting murdered is a potential consequence of real life. But you would seek for fiction to avoid portraying that strife. So write your own stories with immortal females, and then ponder why you don't give a fuck about fictional murdered men.
And we are the daughters of men who warned us about the news and the missing girls on the milk carton in the sharp edge of the world. They begged us to be careful, to be safe, then told our brothers to go out and play.
In the age of terror and mass shootings, kids playing outside is rare. And I've seen many a milk carton, but no missing persons pictured there. And is being careful and safe such an offensive request? You'd think that with that kind of concern, their interest is your best. But thankfully, that does conclude this pretentious prattle. Like, comment, subscribe, or Patreon to support my channel. Now, I will go drink the juices of 1,000,000 fermented grapes. So until I catch you next time, folks, please stay great, apes. All I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary, they can only do harm.